Warning, the following podcast has been classified as insanely lucrative. Listener discretion is advised.
I always tell people on the Periscope, if you guys do not listen to Periscope, I say people that claim 50% and are doing big numbers typically are full of bull, right? You heard me say that, Gee.
Your attention, please. Listening to the AM/PM podcast may cause recurring revenue streams and unfair advantages over your competitors. Other side effects may include fatter wallets, fired bosses, and longer vacations. Listen at your own risk. Here's your host, seven-figure entrepreneur and online marketing madman, Manny Coates. Manny Coates.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AM/PM podcast. My name is Manny Coates, and I will be your host. This is the show where we discuss how to generate recurring revenue streams 24 hours per day during the AM and the PM, hence the name of the show. Get it? AM/PM podcast. Ha! As a matter of fact, I just finished eating 2 bowls of cereal. 2! Because I deserve it. And guess what, guys? While eating every last bite, I was making money. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. All right. So today we are going to be doing our Thursday Q&A. And as always, I am joined by my good buddy, the mastermind behind so much of what we do, and my co-host for the Q&As, Guillermo Puyol. For God's sake, Guy, will you please just finish your purple dainty fuzz berry protein smoothie and join me here for the podcast? All right. Guy, how the heck are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Manny. I love your introductions, man. Why do you keep them so short, though?
Oh, all right. You got the extended...
Keep talking about me.
The lengthy version? Well, if we want it lengthy, I do have a question for you. As always, we have Manny's question to Guy. Very serious, life-changing question for many of our listeners, I'd imagine. Are you ready for the first question, Guy?
I was born ready.
Okay. Guy, think about this one. What product do you think that the world can do without? Okay? Can do without. And if you had godlike powers and it was up to you, you would absolutely make it so.
What product can the world do without?
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
what do you
two products come to mind.
Okay. 2.
And the first one is selfie sticks. I cannot stand seeing people in public places with selfie sticks.
Wait! I use a selfie stick almost daily when I do my Periscope.
But you're not in a public place. You're not hanging around the mall with a selfie stick.
I might one day if I get out of this place and I start actually going into civilization with it.
I beg you not to.
No? Okay.
I don't know. I think it's just weird. But so selfie sticks would be one. And I think the marketplace is finally doing away with this. But squeaky shoes. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's these little shoes for kids that with every step it squeaks, and you see these kids running all over the quick.
It's like a dog toy.
It's horrible, man.
Wow.
It's horrible. That's the classic product that a non-parent must have invented.
I know, right? I would probably put a bullet in my head if that was around me all the time. I'm just saying. So, all right. Yeah. So that one, I could see that one being gone. And if you had godlike power, there would be no more selfie sticks, and I'd be forced to use like a drone or something to record myself while doing my periscopes, right?
Yeah. That would actually be neat, man.
It would be neat. I know. I thought about that. I'm like, should I run a drone right in the middle of my living room? Just have it hover in space. You probably wouldn't be able to hear the audio, though. It'll just just be crazy.
That'd be funny.
Okay, so let's get to the first question of our Q&A. Take it away.
All right, let's do it. So the first question is was submitted by Jason Stone. It was actually sent through our website, so we have the recording. So let's go ahead and listen in.
Alrighty.
Hey, Manny and Guy. My name is Jason Stone, and my question for you guys is I am a software designer, a video game designer more specifically, and for many years now I have adopted the saying of the ideas are easy, it's the execution that's hard, because in software it's very easy to come up with, hey, wouldn't it make a great game if, but actually making that happen is really where the success comes from. So my question is, with the advent of tools, you can very easily search for things with under 50 reviews that are selling for more than $300 a month. They're in your $20 to $50 price range. Product sourcing is important, but how much do you think that sort of, for lack of a better term, decision paralysis affects people and keeps them from actually proceeding when, in some ways, arguably taking action with almost any product that sort of met those basic criterias would probably be able to be successful if their ability to follow through was there?
Okay, cool. Thank you for that voicemail question, Jason. That was awesome. And you have a really good point when it comes to people nowadays having software tools that allow them so many options as to what kind of product they can get into, right? But just the software that's out there can tell you fairly certainly anyways, what products meet your minimum criteria, but how do you know when to move forward? And your question was specifically is how much does this decision, right, when you have all of these options, paralyze people from moving forward, taking that first step into Amazon FBA? Did I get that right? Wasn't that the question, Guy?
Yeah, I think the question is all about the paralysis by analysis.
Yeah. So I always tell people, especially on the Periscope, they're on Periscope episodes, at some point you just got to stop learning and you got to take action, right? You got to just jump in and do it. And the same thing applies to products. And I was in that boat where I had like 15 different products that I wanted to launch. And it gets to a point where when you have too many options, you just get confused and you don't take any steps, right? So yeah, I think that at some point you have to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. You pick that one product that makes the most sense. And by making the most sense, I mean, I would probably use a few additional pieces of criteria. I would say which of those products has the higher selling price point, because that's going to give you potentially, if the numbers are right, it's going to give you a higher profit margin. I would also look at which of these products has the has a more niche market. It's niched down to a very, very specific market, something that people probably wouldn't think about normally, right? But if they're searching for it, then you come up and there's probably less competition. So I'd look at which one is less likely to be thought of just on the fly by people. And then I would say probably how unique can you make that product? When you customize this, when you go and you're actually making it officially a private label product. I'm not talking about stamping your logo on it or changing the box. I'm talking about actually changing that product, the dimensions of it, the size, what it does. You're adding something cool to it. You've gone through the other product or the products that are in that niche, and you've read all the reviews and you see what people are complaining about. You fix those in your version. How unique can you make that product relative to everything else? If there's one product you can make way better than everything else, I would go for that product versus another niche where maybe that product you can't really change too much. So that's what I would do. That's my answer to that question.
Did you mention how likely it would be to expand that product into a brand?
No, I don't think did he ask that question? If he
No, I'm just saying that could be another criteria to select your product.
A fourth criteria, yeah. Okay, so if you're trying to build your brand, which Guy and myself always recommend, then yeah, that would probably be a fourth criteria that's pretty important. I would probably use that as, if you're just starting out and that's your first product and you're looking just to kind of get your feet wet, maybe that's not quite as important because you want to have a success. But long term, if you have a long-term goal on brands, then yeah, I would say for sure. How easily can you expand that out into additional complementary products? That's a good point, Guy. Really good.
I think something to keep in mind is I heard this, and I'm gonna say I heard it from Michael Same many years ago, but I'm not sure. The fact about paralysis by analysis and information overload, I don't think either one of those is real. Especially information overload. People say, "Oh, I'm overwhelmed. There's too much information," But I've never seen anybody that walks into a library and just freezes. There's so much information in a library, and nobody gets overwhelmed. Nobody walks in and like, and then freak out and pass out.
Right.
Because in a library, you go in, you walk in, you're surrounded by information, but you're going there to find a specific book, and you walk to the aisle, you pick up the book, you sit down and you read it. So part of this information overload and paralysis by analysis tends to be a lack of focus. So I think it's important to, while you're utilizing the tools, have a focus, have a goal in mind, and move towards that goal. So be able to kind of put those blinds on to keep away all the shiny objects and all these things that distract you from achieving that goal, which is launching your first private label product. Have a goal in mind, have a criteria in mind, and focus on that specific goal. And you don't have to analyze all the ifs, ands, or buts. Just get to that one goal, and then you can expand. You had a goal when you started out this whole thing, Manny, which was 25,000 in sales in the first 90 days.
Yep.
That was your goal. You were not thinking about how can I sell my brand, and which are some of the goals that we have now. It was just one main goal, and you got to that point. You far exceeded your goal.
Right.
But I think it's the ability to focus that's important as well.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things, and I know this is kind of getting out of the scope of this question, but if you set small goals initially, and I know $25,000 in 90 days might not seem like a small goal to a lot of you, but for me, based on where I was with my current businesses and based on what I had seen other people doing, that were in this industry, I thought, you know what, 25,000 in 90 days is something that's achievable, and I thought it would be a challenging goal, something that I would have to work for. It came a lot easier than I expected, but I hit that goal. And then after I hit that goal, it's like, wow, okay, let's set the next goal. And then at that point, you and I were talking about, brands, and we're like, well, we really need to expand stuff. And you asked the question, should people be thinking about brands? Now, knowing what I know, I would say yes. But initially, when you're launching your first product, you just want to get something out there. You want to it's almost like proof of concept, right? You want to show that you can do this. So, yeah. That was a great question, though.
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, so, oops.
I have another question for you, Manny.
Hold on, Gee. I must ask you a question first. You know the rules. Unless this is a question related to the first question that was just asked.
No. I was just trying to skip this.
There's no skipping. These are important, life-changing questions, Gee. All right.
I know, I'm being selfish.
Let's see. What question should I ask you? Gee, would you rather see a long black hair in your taco that you have already eaten halfway, or would you rather look down at an apple you took a bite out of and see only half of a worm?
I'm not very easily disgusted. I would probably rather see the worm, the half worm, because I already ate it and I didn't feel it eating it, so well, it's inside. The hair is a little bit more disgusting, but I'm not one of those that will start gagging if I see something gross.
Okay, interesting. Well, there's another portion of this question, because since we're talking about gross things, what a lot of you guys don't know, I might as well ask you, Gee, you might as well tell them, what are your thoughts on cheese?
I know where you're going with this.
You do.
I like cheese as long as it's melted.
Yeah.
Grilled cheese sandwiches, lasagna, pizza, I love. But the fresh cheese, where somebody goes and cuts a slice of cheese, I don't do that.
So I just sent you a gift, didn't I?
You did.
And can you explain what it is?
It's a huge chunk of cheese.
Right. It's a humongous wedge of Manchego cheese from Spain. So, and I don't think that will work well melted on a pizza or a cheese sandwich, although I've never tried that. But, so my question is, knowing that you hate cheese itself, like it repulses you, how many seconds would it take you to eat that entire big-ass block of cheese I just sent you without you melting it?
Oh my god. How many seconds would it take me to eat this whole thing? Try a million, man. I would have to eat it like one tiny bite at a time and control gag reflux.
Oh my god.
I just hate the texture, man. The cheese to me has a rubbery texture that I do not enjoy.
Wow. So see, people are really learning a lot about you, Gee. They know They know that you are repulsed by cheese and selfie sticks.
But I will eat half a worm.
But you'll eat half a worm, yeah. And a long hair in your carne asada taco really doesn't affect you all that much.
Yeah, I'm weird.
All right, enough with the shenanigans. Let's get on to question number 2.
All right, this is by far the best question that has been sent in.
Have I seen this one? Which one are you talking about?
I don't think you have.
Okay.
This comes from Guillermo Puyol.
Oh, God.
And it says, you mentioned 50% profit margins are not realistic in one of your Periscope episodes. To really step back and consider who the source is when a claim like that is being made. But in the past, I have sold with over 50% margin. Just wanted you to know some people do get those type of margins.
Wait, was there a question there?
Oh wait, let me turn that into a question. How do you like them apples?
Oh, Gee, calling me out on my own podcast. Jeez. All right. How do we talk about that? Okay, so that that's a really good point, Gee. I always tell people on the Periscope, if you guys do not listen to Periscope, I say people that claim 50% and are doing big numbers typically are full of bull, right? You heard me say that, Gee. And I'm not saying everybody. By no means, there's always that outlier, that person that has figured things out. And it's not coming from a point where I'm not 50%, so geez, nobody else can be hitting it. I get that. I understand that if you have the right product, you can do it. So let's talk about that real quick. First of all, when I say 50% net profits, I'm talking about all fees. I'm talking about the manufacturing costs, the shipping costs, the FBA fees, the referral fees from Amazon, the pay-per-click fees, any other fees you might have, everything together, okay? I'm also talking about private label. I'm not talking about anything else like retail arbitrage or anything like that, where you might be able to control the pricing a little bit. Like with retail arbitrage, you can go and you buy something for 10 cents at a garage sale, and you don't have to ship it from China to get it to the US. It's already here, so you use Amazon's super cheap UPS shipping, and you get it there, and then you sell it for $40. So for sure, you're going to get way more than a 50% margin. So that's not what we're talking about either. What I'm talking about is, for example, and let's figure out how to get this 50% margin. Let's say that you do what I typically say you should do and shoot for, let's say, a $40 product. That's your selling price on Amazon, roughly, right? Let's say $39. You'd have to, but let's round it up to 40 to make things even. You'd have to keep your fees at or below $20 in order to reach that 50% margin, okay? And we know that the referral fee on a $40 product is going to be about $6 in most categories, right? It's 15% typically. And chances are that the FBA fee is going to be somewhere around $4. And again, that varies depending on size and weight. So, but we're just kind of simplifying here. So that's $10, $6 and $4. So that leaves another $10 for the product manufacturing and the shipping of that product, the packaging, the whole 9 yards there, right? And of course, any pay-per-click that you're going to spend once you get it here. So that's $10. So that's not a lot, okay? But let's just assume again now that all your sales are coming in from organic listings, okay? You're not doing any kind of pay-per-click. So now if you can get that product actually created and shipped out here from wherever it's coming for $10, right? Selling it for 40 and all the other fees are aligned with what we just talked about, then boom, you're done. You're at 50% profit margin. And that's achievable at that $40 price point. That would be something that you've marked up essentially. You found a cheap product and you marked it up 400%. So yeah, it can be done. Is it common? No, not really. But there are some people out there that are just wizards and can figure out which products can do that, and they make it work. And I'm telling you, Guy, now that you said this, I feel like it's almost a challenge now that you said you've done it. I'm going to find a product that I got 50% margins on. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, and all joking aside, I've done that with arbitrage, and that's actually quite common. But I do think it's important to mention. Yeah, you mentioned that a lot. You say anybody that tells you they're getting 50% profit margin is lying. And yeah, I mean, most people inflate their numbers. Most people paint a half picture, and that's why we always try to be as transparent as possible. I don't think it's common to get 50%. It's doable, like you just showed. Chances are that if you are able to find and source the product and get everything as you just described, it might even be short-lived. You might be able to get to that price point, and then shortly after somebody will jump on, and it will likely become a price war. So there's a lot of variables. So yes, it's doable, but I don't think it's something that people should be shooting for.
No, no, 50%.
I think if you're shooting for 20-25% margins, you're still gonna be able to have a healthy business, and your options are gonna be a lot more plentiful. If you're just searching for that 50% profit margin, you might be really shooting yourself on the foot and making your research a lot harder.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said anybody who does 50% is flat out lying. I try to make it clear that the majority of people that claim that are probably not being as truthful as they could be, because of course anything's possible and you could do it. And I could do it too. Let's be honest. There's simple ways of manipulating the numbers. I can get a product right now. I can find my cheapest product. Let's say it's my bunny scratcher, and I can stop all pay-per-click. I can stop everything and just rely on the sales. And let's just say the sale, I'm only selling 1 unit per day. Okay, with no costs, no anything, I can have a 50% margin on that product. But what's the point of having a 50% margin if there's no volume? Okay, there's a difference between having a 50% margin and doing 30 units a month, right? Or let's say 30 units a month versus having a 50% margin and doing, 9,000 units a month. Okay, doing 300 units a day, because and typically in order to get to that kind of volume, you've got to spend. You got to be spending on pay-per-click and putting that product in front of everybody on that first page. Okay, so there was something else I was going to say, but it slipped my mind now. It was a good thing, Gee, but I can't remember. But anyways, that's that 50%. Yes, you can do it, but don't shoot for that. I know what I was going to say. One of the most common questions we get on Periscope, Gee, is people always say, because let me back up a little bit. I very often show my daily revenue numbers. How much my sales are each day. And so one of the questions that everybody always asks is, well, how much of that is profit? How much is that profit? And it's a good question. That's one of the questions I would ask. And I always tell people it's somewhere between 20 and 30%. It varies from day to day depending on pay-per-click and the products that are selling, because there's 10 different SKUs, and sometimes products will sell, a specific SKU will sell more than the other. But that's you hit it perfectly, Gee. That 20 to 30% is right where my sweet range is, my sweet spot.
What is the lowest margin that you would consider? Is there a margin that's too low for you?
Okay, if you're asking me specifically, yes. If the question is for, if I'm teaching people and saying, should there be a too low of a margin? Maybe not. I guess it just depends on a number of factors. For me, it comes down to cash flow. So let's just assume that I have $100,000, okay? A nice big even number for myself, okay? And that's all I've got to spend for the entire year, let's just say, okay? If half of that is going to go to a product that, a 5% margin, and the other one can go to a product that gives me 30%, the other half, wouldn't it be better for me just to take the whole thing and apply it to the one that's giving me the larger return, the 30%? That's what I would do. I wouldn't spend, at that point, because I have multiple products and I have an option, I would probably cut the lower percentage one, even though it's profitable, just because it's a cash float issue. But if you're just starting out and you can run with a product and you can get 10% return on your product and you can do this every 30 days, that's like printing cash. You can't get, it's hard to get that anywhere else, right? Stock market or anything, 10% return in a year, let alone in a month. So, I think it just depends on the person, their cash flow, where they're at in their cycle. Do they have multiple options for products, or is it their only product? But if it's their only product, I would definitely stay with it until you have another product that's blowing it out of the water and you can apply all your funds to that.
Okay. I have to ask a follow-up question because your answer is actually different than what I would think.
Okay.
Wouldn't you rather sell, if you say you're getting, let's say, 10% on one and 30% on the other one, but if you're selling the 10% one 3 times faster or 4 times faster, then you're getting those profits a lot faster. So your volume is much higher. So you're actually kind of multiplying your money faster.
Yes, again, if the cash flow isn't an issue. If you're selling, if the price points, see, this is the thingy, there's so many different variables, right? There's always like a million variables. If the price points are exactly the same, if each unit is $10 and you can't afford to buy 3 or 4 times as much inventory per month at that price range to get to that level that you just talked about, then it doesn't make any sense. But if you can do it, then absolutely. Another variable to throw in there, Guy, would be, okay, if you're making 10% on a product that costs you $1 per unit, and you're making 30% on a product that costs you $20 per unit, that changes the whole game, right? Because now you can buy 20 times the volume on the other product that's 10%, versus the other one that's a 30% margin, but it costs 20 times as much, $20 versus $1 cost. So that's another variable to throw in there. So I guess there's no single answer, but for me, you asked me specifically what I would do. I would take a look at my products are all very similarly priced. I would take a look at the float and which one makes me the most money over the course of a month.
Yeah, and I think this just goes to prove that there's no one answer for every question. There's a lot of strategy in this business, and I think that's what separates the successful people from the wannabes,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, anybody that just has a single answer for everything they're full of BS, Guy. Full of BS!
That's right. So that's all the questions we have for this episode, unless there's something else you want to add.
No, man. I just want to add that you're awesome. How's that?
I think we have 5 more minutes. So what else do you think about me?
You're handsome and you're well built and you're like an Adonis. And should I keep going?
No.
All right. I'm gonna embarrass you. All right, guys, so that's it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to leave comments on our Facebook group if you enjoyed it. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We want to make things better. As always, go to our website, ampmpodcast.com. You can leave us messages there. Voicemail would be preferred over text. And you can click on our Facebook group icon there on the website and join our Amazon FBA High Rollers secret group on Facebook. It's secret until you're joined, or until, can I say that a little differently? Until you get approved to join by Guillermo. Guillermo is the dungeon master, I guess you could say, when it comes to this. Does that sound weird? Maybe.
A little bit.
Yeah, I know. So, but yeah, come join us and check us out on Periscope. Follow me there at Manny Coates. And that's it. That's all I got, Guy.
All right. Thank you, Jason Stone, for your question.
Yep.
Thank you to everybody that has posted reviews on the iTunes store for the podcast. That really, really helps. And just thank you for listening, guys. I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you have a great week.
Yeah, and we'll see you next Thursday. Take care, everybody.
You've been listening to the AM/PM podcast hosted by Manny Coates. For more information, insider tools, and to get the resources mentioned in this episode, visit ampmpodcast.com.